You are lying on the cold ground in the middle of the night and your whole body is on fire. Your throat feels like it is closing, your skin is soaked in sweat, your stomach twists, and for a moment you cannot tell if you are about to vomit or pass out. There is no hospital, there is no doctor, there is no medicine cabinet. There is only you, the dark, and whatever is happening inside your body. So what do? Most people assume getting sick was simple back then. You got an infection, you either survived or you didn't, end of story. But that's not what happened. Getting sick 100,000 years ago wasn't just dangerous. It was a puzzle with almost no clues, and the wrong guess could kill you. Think about what you actually know right now in this moment, lying on the ground shivering. You don't know what bacteria is, you don't know what a virus is, you have never heard the word infection. All you know is that yesterday you felt fine, and today your body is betraying you. And here is the first problem nobody talks about: symptoms lie. A fever doesn't feel like healing, it feels like dying. The shaking, the burning skin, the confusion, every instinct in your body is screaming that something is going wrong. But a fever is not the disease, a fever is your body fighting the disease. Your internal temperature rises on purpose because many pathogens cannot survive the heat. You don't know that, to you this just feels like the end. So already, before you even understand what is attacking you, you are forced to make a decision based on terrifying, misleading information. At first this seems like the only problem, until you realize it gets worse. Because even if you correctly guess that you are sick and not dying of something else entirely, you now face a second problem. You have no idea why you are sick. Was it the meat you ate 2 days ago? Was it the water from that stagnant pool? Was it the bite on your leg you barely noticed? Was it the person in your group who was coughing last week? Cause and effect, something modern brains take for granted, was almost invisible back then. Diseases could take hours, days, or weeks to show symptoms. By the time you felt sick, the cause was long gone, buried somewhere in your memory, mixed in with 100 other things you did that week. Imagine trying to solve a crime where the crime happened weeks before you even knew something was wrong. This is the world early humans lived in, constantly guessing, constantly wrong. And here is where it gets even more dangerous. Without knowing the real cause, humans had to invent one. The mind cannot tolerate an unanswered why, so if there was no scientific explanation, people created one anyway: a spirit, a curse, an angry ancestor, bad luck from breaking a rule. It wasn't foolishness, it was survival logic. If you believe a sickness comes from an angered spirit, you can act, you can perform a ritual, you can feel like you are doing something instead of nothing. But here is the twist: sometimes the explanation itself made things worse. If a group believed illness spread because of a curse on a person, that person could be abandoned, pushed out, left behind exactly when they needed help the most. So the very stories meant to protect the group could also destroy the people inside it. Humans solved one problem, then created another. Now picture the next layer of danger, the one most people never even consider. You are sick, surrounded by other people. Today, illness usually means a moment of rest, a blanket, a meal someone brings you, a few quiet days. Back then, your sickness wasn't just your problem, it was the group's problem. Every person in early human groups had a role: hunting, gathering, watching for predators, carrying children, defending the camp. If you went down, the work didn't disappear, it fell onto someone else's shoulders. And if your illness was contagious, the danger didn't stay with you, it spread to the very people trying to help you. So early humans faced an impossible question. Do you isolate the sick person, risking that they die alone and afraid, or do you stay close, risking that everyone gets infected? There was no manual for this, no CDC guidelines, just instinct, fear, and love pulling in opposite directions. And the stakes were not small. In small bands of 20 to 50 people, one illness moving through the group could be catastrophic. Lose a few hunters and the whole group's survival chances collapse. This is the part most people never think about: illness wasn't a personal crisis, it was a structural threat to the entire community. So discovery had to happen, not in a lab, in real life, through trial, loss, and slow observation passed down through generations. It started small. Someone noticed that people who ate a certain plant seemed to feel better. Someone noticed that wounds packed with specific leaves healed cleaner. Someone noticed that boiling water before drinking it seemed to prevent the stomach sickness that killed so many others. None of these people understood why it worked. They had no concept of bacteria, no concept of antiseptic compounds, no concept of sterilization. But they noticed patterns, and patterns repeated enough times became knowledge. This knowledge wasn't written down, there was no writing yet. It lived in memory, passed from elder to child, refined slightly with every generation, lost completely if the wrong person died too soon. Every plant that reduced fever, every bark that eased pain, every practice that seemed to stop infections from spreading, these were earned through centuries of death and observation. Think about what that actually means. Somewhere out there, someone tried 100 different plants before finding the one that worked. Somewhere out there, someone died from a plant that didn't work so the next person wouldn't have to. Every piece of ancient medical knowledge has invisible bodies behind it. And slowly, almost invisibly, a new role began to emerge in human groups. Some people became known as the ones who understood sickness better than others, not doctors in any modern sense but something close. Healers, elders with sharper memory for what worked and what didn't. This was one of the earliest forms of specialized knowledge in human history. Long before writing, long before agriculture, humans had already begun building something that looked like medicine. Here is the bigger revelation hiding underneath all of this. Illness didn't just threaten human survival, it shaped human behavior. The instinct to care for the sick, to remember which plants helped, to pass that knowledge to children, this required something deeply human. Cooperation across time, trust between generations, the willingness to invest effort into someone else's survival even at a cost to yourself. Some researchers believe this same pressure helped shape human social bonds. Groups that cared for their sick instead of abandoning them often had better survival outcomes overall. Compassion wasn't just an emotion, it was a strategy that worked. And the fear of illness shaped something else too. Caution, curiosity, pattern recognition. The same mental tools you use today to notice that a certain food upsets your stomach or that a certain environment makes you feel sick, these instincts were sharpened over hundreds of thousands of years of guessing, failing, and occasionally getting it right. Every time you wash your hands without thinking, every time you instinctively avoid food that smells wrong, every time you feel uneasy around someone who is visibly sick, you are running ancient software built by people who never understood germs but understood danger. So go back to where this all started. You, lying on the ground, shivering, afraid, with no idea what is happening inside your body. You weren't just sick. You were standing at the edge of one of humanity's oldest unsolved mysteries, the same mystery your ancestors faced for hundreds of thousands of years before anyone knew what a virus was. And somehow, through countless deaths, countless wrong guesses, and just enough right ones, they figured out enough to keep the species alive. Every antibiotic in your medicine cabinet, every vaccine, every doctor's visit traces back to a person thousands of years ago who noticed something work and made sure it wasn't forgotten. You don't remember their names, you never will. But every time you recover from something as simple as a cold, you are living proof that they didn't fail.